Right now, millions of households believe they're about to inherit wealth. Not someday. Soon. The number: $124 trillion. The largest generational wealth transfer in history. Expected to move from baby boomers to younger generations by 2048. That belief is incorrect. Not because people are lying, because the mathematics don't work. The same mathematics that destroyed middle-class wealth in Rome, in Weimar Germany, in Nixon-era America. The pattern repeats, and it's repeating right now. Today we show you how. Monetary systems don't fail randomly. They move through 4 repeatable phases: foundation, debasement, collapse, reset. You don't need to memorize them. You'll see them play out. Let me show you 3 examples spanning 2,000 years. Same sequence, same outcome. Every time. Rome, 64 AD. The city is burning. Emperor Nero needs money. Stage 1. Foundation. The denarius, Rome's silver coin, had contained 95% pure silver under Augustus. This created trust, economic expansion. Stage 2. Debasement. Nero reduced it to 80%. 130 years later, under Septimius Severus, 46% silver. By 215 AD, Caracalla introduced the Antoninianus, supposedly worth 2 denarii, but containing only 1.5 times the silver. By 253 AD, 20% silver. A decade later, 2%. Stage 3. Collapse. Prices exploded 1,000%. Small landholders lost everything. The wealthy, those holding land and gold, consolidated power. The Roman middle class was annihilated. Stage 4. Reset. Currency reform. Wealth consolidated to the elite. Pattern complete. Weimar Germany, 1921 to 1923. After World War I, Germany owed 132 billion gold marks in reparations, over $500 billion in today's money. Stage 1. Foundation. Germany operated under a gold-backed currency pre-war. Stage 2. Debasement. Germany had abandoned the gold standard during the war. Now they had to pay in gold-backed currency while possessing almost none. The Weimar government made a choice. Print money. Watch how fast this accelerates. Mid-1922, 320 marks per dollar. 6 months later, 7,400 marks per dollar. January 1923. France and Belgium occupy the Ruhr Valley. Germany's response: print even more money to pay striking workers. November 1923. $1 equals 4.2 trillion marks. Stage 3. Collapse. A loaf of bread that cost 160 marks at the end of 1922 now cost 200 billion marks. Families who saved for generations watched their fortunes evaporate in months. Anyone holding cash was destroyed. Anyone holding land, gold, or foreign currency survived. 29,500% monthly inflation in October 1923. Stage 4. Reset. Introduction of the Rentenmark in November 1923. The wealth of millions transferred to a tiny elite in less than 2 years. August 15, 1971. President Nixon stands before America and suspends dollar convertibility into gold. The Nixon shock. Stage 1. Foundation. For 27 years, since Bretton Woods in 1944, the dollar had been pegged to gold at $35 per ounce. Every other currency was pegged to the dollar, the foundation of the global financial system. Stage 2. Debasement. Foreign governments demanded redemption. The U.S. had only 10,000 metric tons left, less than half its peak reserves. August 11, 1971. Britain alone requested $3 billion in gold moved from Fort Knox. Nixon closed the gold window. Stage 3. Collapse. The dollar became fiat currency overnight. Within 15 months, Bretton Woods collapsed entirely. The 1970s delivered stagflation. Unemployment hit 6.1%. Inflation soared past 5.84% annually and kept climbing. Those holding dollars watched purchasing power evaporate. Those holding assets, real estate, gold, equities, flourished. Stage 4. Current system. Floating fiat currencies. Wealth inequality at all-time highs. The wealth gap began widening systematically. Which brings us to today, to that $124 trillion wealth transfer everyone's talking about. Here's what the numbers actually show. As of 2024, the top 1% of Americans hold 30.8% of all wealth, $49.2 trillion. The bottom 50%? They hold 2.8%. Total U.S. household wealth, $163 trillion. The highest in history, inflated by surging stock and real estate prices. Of that $124 trillion transfer, $62 trillion comes from the wealthiest 2% of households alone. And where's it going? Right back to the top. Millennials and Gen Z expect to inherit $46 trillion and $15 trillion respectively. But Northwestern Mutual's 2024 study reveals that only 26% of Americans actually plan to leave an inheritance. 1/3 of millennials expect one. Only 22% of boomers and Gen X plan to leave anything. The expectation gap is massive. Millions are banking on money that doesn't exist. Meanwhile, the median inheritance for the bottom 90% of Americans? Close to zero. The wealth transfer is a myth for ordinary people. It's a consolidation for the elite. And it's happening because of the exact same pattern. Let's verify every stage for America right now. Stage 1. Did America establish a trusted currency system? Yes. The gold-backed dollar under Bretton Woods. Check. Stage 2. Has America engaged in decades of currency expansion and debasement? Absolutely. Since 1971, pure fiat currency. The Federal Reserve has expanded the money supply exponentially. National debt exceeds $36 trillion. Check. Stage 3. Are we seeing loss of control? Currency devaluation and wealth concentration? Undeniable. Real wages stagnated for decades. The top 1% now controls wealth equivalent to the bottom 90% combined. Inflation has returned. Housing is unaffordable. The middle class is being hollowed out. Check. Stage 4. The inevitable outcome. It's happening right now. This wealth transfer is the reset, the consolidation, the mathematically inevitable conclusion of 50 years of fiat currency expansion. You're thinking it right now. This time is different. America is exceptional. We have technology, innovation, resilience. That's what they said in Rome. That's what they said in Weimar Germany. That's what every civilization says right before the pattern completes itself. But the pattern doesn't care about exceptionalism. It doesn't care about innovation. It cares about mathematics. It cares about the immutable reality that when you debase a currency, you destroy the savers and reward the asset holders. Every single time. No exceptions in 2,000 years. Here's what this means. Historically, currency holders are diluted. Asset holders are not. When currency supply expands faster than productive capacity, wealth held in that currency loses purchasing power. Wealth held in assets that cannot be printed, land, equities, commodities, maintains or increases relative value. This isn't financial advice. It's historical observation. The pattern has operated for 2,000 years. Currency debasement transfers wealth from savers to asset holders. Every time. The $124 trillion wealth transfer isn't a windfall. It's a consolidation mechanism. And unless you understand how that mechanism works, the outcomes won't change. So ask yourself, what stage are we in right now? Which assets survive currency debasement? And who's positioned to capture the consolidation? The pattern has repeated for 2,000 years. It's repeating right now in 2024. The only question is whether you'll recognize it before Stage 4 completes. In the next episode, we trace how reserve currencies collapse, from the Portuguese real to the British pound to the American dollar. Every global reserve currency follows the same 7 stages, and currency debasement appears at the exact same moment in each cycle, not by accident, by design. Welcome to Geopolitics of Money,